Hi, my name is Izzy, and there's two things that you should know about me. Number one, I love reading. Obviously, you're on my book channel. But two, I love YouTube, especially influencers. So I decided that I should read my favorite influencers' favorite books. And in today's episode, I am reading Brittany Broski's favorite books.
So Brittany Broski is probably one of my favorite influencers ever. I think she's very funny and witty and pretty and just... I love her. I was like, I have to read her favorite books. I just have to. Gun to my head, I have to do it for Broski Nation. The image she portrays online, she's obviously a comedian, but I can see that she has gone through this like renaissance of reading. At least from the videos that I have found, she has kind of found a new appreciation and a new love for reading because of TikTok, it seems like, which we love. We love people when they get back into reading. I will like to preface this by saying these are the books that I have seen that she has talked about online, that she has kind of claimed that these are some of her favorite books. There wasn't like a certain video that I pulled from. There's actually multiple videos and clips that I have pulled where she has talked about these books that I've kind of hand selected a little bit. So in this video, she really talks about like kind of her comeback into reading again and a lot of TikTok books that she has seen. The one that she said that she absolutely loved is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I have never read The Secret History. I've wanted to because it's like a mystery but based on like Greek mythology students. I don't really know what this book is. I just wanted to read it because you say Greek mythology and I'm sad. She raved about this book in this video, so I'm really excited to get to that one. The next book that I saw, I found this on her podcast where she was talking about how she was getting back into reading again, kind of talking about like old favorite books that she had. And one of the books that she was raving about was Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I just so happen to have this because my mom has also read this and she actually really likes it too. I'm actually really excited to get into this. I don't know what this is about. My mom kind of briefly told me what this is about. It's something to do kind of like a talk about religion to some extent. I think it's got religious undertones. And then one for silly goofies that I've seen that she really enjoyed was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I have never read this book, which I feel like is a sin for me as someone who reads books, a sin that I have never read. To be honest, I've had some pretty big prejudices about reading Sarah J Maas, and I was like, I don't want to read her books. She's so popular and I don't want to read someone who's so popular. Like, that was me. Until I started reading actually the Throne of Glass series, I was like, I'm never gonna read a Sarah J Maas book. I'm never gonna read A Court of Thorns and Roses because it's too popular and I'm not like the other girls. Turns out I am. I was like, you know what perfect timing then to read A Court of Thorns and Roses for the first time. Like I said, I put my prejudices aside and read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm kind of nervous to read this. I feel like I will like it, but like I have heard so many people talk about it that like I'm pretty sure I'll like it, but also I'm nervous. I'm excited. I feel like this is pretty interesting. I'm pretty intrigued. So let's go to the first book. Officially started Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I am on page 88. I had no idea what this book was about. So we follow our main character whose name is Robert Langdon. He is a religious professor. So one day he gets this phone call from this random person who basically wants to meet him immediately. And Robert's like, no, this is weird. Why are you calling me? It's like 5 a.m. Go to sleep. And the guy's like, no. The guy's like, here's a picture of a dead body. Come meet me or else. So you're like, intriguing. Did he do that? That's weird. We find out that the guy that sends him the telegram, I don't know, it's a telegraph. Telegraph? What's the difference? Is there a difference between a telegraph and a telegram? Or are they the same thing? I obviously don't know. The guy who sends him this thing is actually a very, I think he's the president of this super big scientific research center in Switzerland, or the biggest scientific research center. And the guy that has been killed was one of his employees. Him and his daughter have figured out how to do antimatter. They kind of basically were trying to come up with the hypothesis of how did God create the Big Bang. He gets murdered by the Illuminati. This book sounds so confusing me explaining it. I'm so sorry if this is so confusing. I'm trying to explain this the best I can. It's just a lot right now. The Brotherhood of the Illuminati has killed the science guy for his antimatter stuff. And then that's all I've gotten so far from that. It's actually quite good. I'm actually enjoying it a lot. I do find myself getting lost in the science parts, or at least from the science parts that I have read. So there's a bug in here. I think I got it. Oh, I killed it. Hell yes. You see those tiger reflexes? Gross. This is not a book I can read at night when I'm so tired, because it's gonna go in one ear and out the other. Like, I literally don't know what they're talking about. Like, there was like this whole section where the guy who died, his daughter, and like the owner guy of the scientific research building were like having a conversation on how she made antimatter with her dad. And that whole part of this book, I was so lost. There's so many sciencey things, and I was just like, a weed book. It felt very sciencey, and I felt really stupid because I didn't know what they were talking about. But it was funny because in the book, the main character is also so lost with where they're at. He's also like, I have no idea what they're saying. So I was like, we see each other. Oh, and also the whole reason why this guy is there is basically to help consult with and give knowledge to what the Illuminati is and like whatever. It's reminding me of National Treasure, that Nicolas Cage movie. You know the one I'm talking about. But like for some reason in my brain it's giving that energy, and I kind of am obsessed with it. But like a little bit more gory. But like I'm kind of obsessed. But yeah, so far this has been pretty good. I'm not gonna read this tonight because I literally can't. Like, it's not gonna work for me. Like, I literally will not understand anything. But I will update you soon. Okay, bye. Weird to like say that I know this person but I don't know this person. Parasocially, I feel like I know her. So whenever I say something like I don't know this person, I mean in the sense that I don't know them personally, but I feel like I know them parasocially, if that makes sense. And hopefully that doesn't confuse you if I act like I know exactly who this person is and what they like and what they don't like and like all of these things, right? Okay, cool. The more I read it, the more I'm like, this feels like a very Brittany book, if that makes sense. Right now I'm at a part where it's literally talking about like art history. She literally has a whole series on her YouTube talking about art history. There's like this bomb-like thing that these people have, and our main character, instead of worrying about like other people's safety and lives, he's worried about the museum of art in which this matter is located in. And he's like, oh my god, there's so many paintings here that are gonna get destroyed. That's so her. That's so her. I'm just kidding. I don't know, from reading this, I can just tell this is such a her book. And I don't know how to explain that. Okay, that's all I have right now. Sorry you got this really angle. But I'm not that sorry. Me coded. Him coded. Me be like, I need to probably go to bed. I am officially 50% of the way through this book. There are moments I do get taken out of the story a little bit, only because like if there's like sciencey talk or like him explaining what's going on, sometimes it does get kind of confusing. But for the most part, I feel like it's explained pretty well. This author seems like he did a ton of research for this book. At least to me, it feels very credible. I don't know if it is. I don't want to say a whole lot because if you do want to read it, so far I've been really enjoying it. I can totally understand why Brittany Broski loves this book. The more I keep reading it, the more I'm like, such a her book in the sense of like the art history and the religious history, the mystery aspects of it all. It's like setting up little tiny clues everywhere. It's a very well and very clever, I think, so far. From the stuff that I have seen her talk about, I could see why she really loves this book. I feel like it really tallies up all of her interests into one book. Very well done, and I'm really enjoying it. That's all I got so far. I just finished Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. You saw me listen to the rest of the audiobook because I literally needed to know what happened. I needed to know what happened. My overall opinions of this is I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really fun. There are points where it felt a little long, but overall it was really good and I really enjoyed it. At the very end, like I think I had like maybe 5 chapters left, and then there was like a plot twist that I was not expecting, and I was like, huh? In hindsight, the plot twists aren't like super crazy, but also kind of crazy. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like I can't guess it because I'm just not good at guessing things, but also I think they're not like super crazy plot twists that you couldn't guess. There is a lot of like science talk, and there's a lot of religious factoids going on that I think sometimes that took me out of what I was reading, because I was like, whoa, there's just a lot of information going on. Overall, it was really fun and it was keeping me hooked. Fact: the world's largest scientific research facility, Switzerland's Conseil European pour la recently succeeded in producing the first particles of antimatter. Antimatter is identical to physical matter, except that this is composed of particles whose electric charge are opposite to those found in oh, so this is actually for real. Ooh. Thorns and Roses. I'm on page 155. I'm in chapter 18. So far, not a lot has really happened, I feel like. I find Farah to be okay. Like, she's alright. She is like trying to escape Tamlin's like castle, sort of, but she's technically not like actually like enslaved there, but like she's trying to escape to her household. For some reason, this girl like really needs to go back home, because she's like, I have to go back, I have to go back, I have to go back. And then literally everyone's saying, you can't go back, bitch, why would you want to? Then she's like, oh, I guess I don't need to go back. So weird. I don't know, nothing's like super crazily, amazingly has happened. It's kind of alright right now. That's all I got so far, so bye. Roses. I don't get it. I mean, in the sense, like, I don't get the hype. I don't understand the hype. I actually was at Barnes & Noble yesterday, and the lady checking me out, I had this in my bag. She like looked and she was like, is that A Court of Thorns and Roses? And I said, how did you know that? Like, it was literally like she saw this color and just instantly knew. And she was like, okay, so the first book, that book, it is like such a like, it's just like a setup for the second book. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it's kind of boring. I thought it was kind of, she's like, yeah, it's kind of boring, but like it's all set up. Like everything you read in this book and the second book, it just makes more sense. It just makes more sense. So all I was hearing was, so this book is like a middle syndrome book, but as a first book, what? She basically told me to keep my expectations low about this one because it's just set up for the second book. And I've heard the second book is the best book of the series, but I'm also like, oh, I gotta read a whole ass book for the second book to be good. Like that just ain't it. It's just okay. Nothing I feel like has truly happened. Our main character Farah is a dumb bitch. She is so stupid. Reason number 1 that she is a dumb bitch. She cannot leave. They have told her, hey, it's part of the treaty, like a life for a life kind of thing, like you have to stay here. And she's like finding every avenue possible to go back to her sisters and her dad. And I get it, that's her family, whatever, but those bitches live in a poor, run-sack house. They're poor as shit. Their house is bad. They can't eat. They barely eat. Her sisters are mean. Her dad's a worthless piece of shit. Like, why would you want to go back to that? She is literally living in luxury. Like, she's living at this, I almost said motel. She's literally living in like this castle. She gets fed every day. She gets to bathe. There's a hot ass man there. Like, what is the problem? And then finally, after she's figured out that she literally cannot leave, she's just like, okay. So you went on that whole quest to get back for nothing. I would not be going back. I'd be sitting my ass there. My ass be sat, fed, happy, hot man. I'm there, okay? Second reason she's a dumb bitch. They're having this, like, it's like this, the Great Rite or something like that. Calamari, is that what it is? The I don't know. They, like, warned her, and Tamlin specifically told her, do not leave your room. It is dangerous, and I can't protect you. You can't come to the ceremony. It's dangerous. Do not come. And she's like, oh, but I want to go. I want to go. You can't tell me what to do. Blah, 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 blah. And so she goes because of the drums. So then these fairies come up to her and was like, ooh, you're pretty. I like you. We need to take you with. And then this other guy steps in and is like, hey, pretty lady, you're with me. Back off, bitches. And so they do. And so he basically saves her, and he's the most attractive person she's ever seen in her life. Because that was important to know. Thanks. But like low-key same. Like if I see an attractive person, I'm like, damn, he's hot. And then Lucian finds her and is like, why the fuck are you here? He literally calls him like, you're an idiot. And in my brain, I'm like agreeing with Lucian. I'm like, yes, she is an idiot. Farrah just makes like really stupid choices, and then we follow her through those dumbass choices, and you're like, okay, girl. I know there are certain courts, obviously, that we're in the spring court right now, and then there is a summer court and an autumn court, and I'm gonna assume a winter court, and then I guess a night court as well. Is there a day court? Is that a thing? I don't know. Is there a supreme court? Oh my god, that's stupid. Bad joke. Anyways, that's just how I feel so far. Also, the supposed romance, Tamlin and Farrah barely talk. Like, how am I supposed to be like, she was like getting like possessive or jealous of him and stuff, and like something happened. The rite or whatever, where he had to like have sex with some lady. I don't know. She was getting jealous of that, and I'm like, girl, you don't talk to him like at all. Like, you can't be jelly up in here. You literally don't know him. She is so stupid. They literally warn her every single time, like, don't do this, don't do that, and then she just does it. She really is a do it for the plot character, and I get that because this is a book and that makes sense, but like, god, she's so stupid. She just drank this stupid fairy wine and she's like, I don't care, caution to the wind. She's so stupid, bro. She's pissing me off. I have tabbed one quote. I was as unburdened as a piece of dandelion fluff, and he was the wind that stirred me about the world. That was so cute. I love that line. That's like the only thing though that I've tabbed out of this book. I thought I was gonna tab it more. Anyways. Reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I've actually been listening to, oh, I didn't realize the back was purple. I actually started listening to this audiobook. I've listened to about 22% of the audiobook, and then I had to come to the conclusion I had to stop the audiobook because I don't know what the is going on. I may have to back up and reread them things. Some things I get, and then some things I don't know if I know. Just wanted to update you and let you know I have started The Secret History. Do I know what's going on though? No, absolutely not. Let you know I'm confused, but that's because I haven't been listening and paying attention. Okay, bye. history. I'm actually technically, I think 55% in. I feel like I haven't really updated a whole lot about how I felt about this book. And that is because, one, I felt like what I was reading, the first 150 pages of this book, slow, and I'm bored. I almost considered DNFing it. I usually don't DNF, especially for like specific videos. You know, books sometimes just take a long time. It just takes a second to get somewhere, and this was that book. It just took a while to get there, but once we got there, very good. I'm really invested now. I'm really having a good time reading it now. I feel like some crazy shit is about to happen, so I'm just more excited now to read it. I kind of get it now. All I keep thinking about are these characters. I was actually reading it on a plane ride home. I was like dreaming about these characters, and I was dreaming about this plot line. I'm just so curious what is going to happen. I have literally no guesses. This friend group is weird though. If I was this main character and I was actually sane, I would be like, I don't want to be any of y'all's friends. All of y'all are weird. I'm gonna keep reading and I'll update you if there's anything new. I wanted to update a little bit about The Secret History. You feel so anxious for this group, but you know they have just done these awful, awful things, but you feel so anxious for them that they're gonna get caught. And I think that's the weirdest, like, oxymoron-ish kind of thing. And you're almost like anticipating them getting caught. The criticism that I have about this book that I don't love is that the chapters are so long. I just hate when chapters are just like this long. Like, why are they so long? Why do we need to do that? Let's make it shorter. Thank you. Format of this book wise, don't love long chapters, because technically there's only 8 chapters and then the epilogue, but it's like a almost 600 page book. That's all I got. Bye. So I have finished The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This was such a doozy. I just think these characters are just so interesting. The characters that you're following are kind of almost like anti-heroes. You're like low-key rooting for them, but also you know they've done some f***ed up things, so you're like, I shouldn't root for them, but like also they are the main characters of the story, so you're like, I feel like I have gotta root for them. Felt sympathetic for some of them during certain situations, but then I had to like reel back myself and I was like, why am I feeling bad for these characters? They are so messed up and they are so awful. Like, girl, stop. And I think that was the purpose of this book, is to kind of show these like really messed up people, but like how they kind of bonded together in this situation. And I think the ending was really well done. I think the ending satisfied what I wanted. To me, it was satisfying in the sense I was like, they got what they deserved. All the books are done. Let's go to the outro. Let's go over the ratings of all of the books that I read in this video. First book I read was Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I ended up giving this a 4 stars. I thought it was pretty clever. I thought the twists were twisty. Overall though, I really enjoyed it. It was really good and I really liked it. So yeah, 4 stars. The next book was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. Unfortunately, this just wasn't my favorite. I just don't think I really liked Farah that much, and I think that was the main like issue I had with this book. Besides, like, there's like a part of the plot that happens where she like goes into this like trial-esque thing that becomes a little bit more interesting, but even then I like just didn't really care anymore by that point, because it was like 300 pages in, then this trial happens, and then I at that point just was like, I'm bored, I don't care. The romance isn't giving. Overall, I just wasn't the biggest fan, but I can understand why you like it. So I ended up giving it a 2.5. And the last book was The Secret History by Donna Tartt. The first part of this book, so slow. You get a lot of like internal monologue, you get a lot of introduction into these characters, so that's why it's pretty slow. But once we finally kind of get into it and something starts happening, it's really good. It's very well done. It's definitely a character-driven story, but I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.25 stars. Those are the ratings from the books, but before you leave, it's time for recommendation time. Like the last video, I decided to add recommendations for these YouTubers. As someone who maybe understands their taste in books, I don't know, we'll just see. The first book that I think Miss Brittany would like is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. So this book is kind of a Hunger Games style book where it's just like set in like a vampire world. Whoever wins at the end of this tournament basically gets a wish from their god, and they can wish for literally anything. The romance is so good, it's just fun. It was so fast paced for me, and it's got vampires in it. So yeah, you're welcome. The next book I would recommend is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. One of our main characters, I forgot his name, Adam? Alex? Josh? I don't know what his name is actually. Our main male character comes home one day and finds that his wife is missing and their house looks completely like ransacked. Like, it looks like there was like a struggle or even like a murder happening in his house, and his wife is missing. The police come over. They possibly may suspect that our main male character is actually murdered his wife. But the twists are so good. These characters are so complex. They also give kind of anti-hero vibes a little bit as well. But yeah, I think she would really like this because, like I said, I think the characters are kind of complex like The Secret History, but also it's got that mystery aspect as well. But there's just so many twists. There's so many different turns that are happening. You think something's happening and it just doesn't happen. And then the last book I have, I think she may have read it. I don't remember, but it is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I'm throwing in a classic only because I think she likes classics. I don't know. She did read The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, so I know she has read classics, obviously. How do I explain this book? Three main characters, one of them being Dorian Gray, and then the other two are kind of in the semblance of good and evil characters, and Dorian just kind of happens to be more influenced by the evil character, and it's just kind of talks about like vanity and how that vanity and ugliness can kind of outturn an ugly person on the outside as well, even if you are like a pretty person. And the reason I picked this, like I said, because of the character complex from The Secret History and how this kind of like the picture of Dorian Gray, how it changes and how it kind of makes him into like paranoia and stuff. Very reminiscent, I feel like, of The Secret History a little bit as well. And then, like I said, another one and gigs is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Now, I'm not saying this is like completely out of her comfort zone reading wise, but from the books that I have read, I've read a mystery, a classic, and a fantasy. This is a historical romance, and this is one happening when communism is coming and being a big thing, and the Red Scare has happened, which basically just put a lot of prejudices against Chinese people, and especially Chinese Americans got a lot of that brunt. Having this like risk of her father being deported, but also like finding her sexuality and falling in love with this person who her parents wouldn't agree on, and at the time it wasn't acceptable. It's such a good book. Melinda Lowe, her writing is so amazing. Obviously she's got all these fucking awards, but the romance is so sweet. I do think that the romance, it's a little bit more on the back burner than you realize. I think it's more about the historical events that are happening and kind of following Lily, but there is romance. It does come a little different because I didn't see any historical books she had talked about. So this book is so good, and I think she would like it because it's really good and I really like it, so maybe she would like it too. I don't know. That's all I got. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.